Hey folks, thanks for checking out Reigniting Liberty. I'm Deneen Borelli. And joining me today is Peter Sherr. Peter is running for state representative in Connecticut's 151st district. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Deneen. It's great to be with you again.
Great to have you on. So before we dig into your campaign, if you can just tell us a little bit about your background and your life experience.
Oh, yeah. I have a varied experience, although it's not particularly exciting. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm a neighbor, I'm a business person. I came to Greenwich over 30 years ago, and we've had all three of our kids here, raised our family here. It's a story like a lot of other Greenwich residents. And I've worked in the information technology industry for over 30 years. Had a big corporate life running big jobs at Siemens, IBM, Computer Associates. And a couple years ago, I stepped off that merry-go-round and have been starting new technology companies since then. It's been exciting. But, Greenwich is our home, and I really love it here, as do all the other people we have in town.
So what motivated you to run, to get involved in politics?
Well, I originally got involved in politics. It's one of those things for me of kind of giving back to our community. And Greenwich is a place that really runs on volunteers. I believe in the maxim, don't complain, get involved. And about 12 years ago, I did that by getting involved in the Board of Education. As I said, we have three kids. I was really interested in making Greenwich schools better. I really was interested in education and education policy. So that's where I got involved. I thought I'd ended my life in politics because I'm not a career politician. And then, of course, Harry Aurora, who's been serving in my district, representing me and others, decided to run for state treasurer. So I looked at this role and thought I could contribute. I think it's important. People don't understand that so many decisions in their local life they think are made through local government. But in Connecticut, so many decisions are made in Hartford. Decisions about what your kids are taught in school, what the economics will be in your town. Even now, how your neighborhood will develop and how it will be developed. That's no longer under local control. It's being driven out of Hartford. So if you really care about your local town, as I do, I realized you have to contribute and you have to go where decisions are made, which is up in Hartford. That's the reason I'm running, is to really help Greenwich be the great town that it's always been and stay the great town that it's always been and make our state a great state as it has been in the past.
And give us an idea of some of your top campaign issues.
Well, when I'm out knocking doors and I'm out talking to voters, there are a number of things that are top of mind. Number one, I'm hearing a lot from voters about affordability in Connecticut. And affordability doesn't just mean, it means housing affordability. It means the cost of living. It means cost of fuel, cost of gas, cost of energy, cost of groceries, so on and so forth. So when you talk to people about that, they really are concerned about that. They're also concerned about the tax burden. There have been so many things coming out of Hartford that just wants to increase the tax burden on families, particularly in Fairfield County. In Hartford, they tend to look at Fairfield County as a giant piggy bank, so they just want to tax. And I think we really have to work on those kinds of issues to make Connecticut more affordable for families and young people and older people. Older people want to stay here, and younger people, this has to be a place where they come and want to live. That's number one. Number two is I'm hearing a lot, maybe it's just because of my background in education, about parents and their concerns about what their kids are being taught, how they're being taught, and a focus kind of on things that are not educational in nature, not academic in nature. They kind of don't like it, and they're concerned that their policymakers are not listening. So a lot of those decisions are made in Hartford, and that's really on the minds of parents. So that's where I think I can have an impact. The last thing is really on local control. Connecticut has always been a state where towns, we don't have county government in Connecticut as an example. That's so that towns makes decisions locally that are best for their community. But with laws like 830G as an example, which is a law that allows developers to come into neighborhoods, completely override any community concerns and build wherever they want. That's a big issue. So these are the kinds of issues that I'm really focused on, which is affordability education with parental rights and local control over communities so that decisions are made locally.
And as you're out and about knocking on doors and meeting people and shaking hands, what is the feedback? What's the reception that you're getting, especially if they're not a Republican?
Well, it varies, right? I mean, Connecticut has always been kind of a moderate state politically. Unfortunately, we've had many, many residents who've left the state. They're looking for freer, less regulated, more business-friendly, family-friendly locations, and they've left and gone to places in the Southeast and in the Southwest. But of the voters that are here, it varies. If I go to a household that's very, very wealthy, they don't seem to be as much concerned about economic issues. It doesn't seem to bother them very much filling up the Suburban at $200 and $250 a gallon. I guess it's the problem of wealthy people. They tend to be a little more concerned about social issues and like schools and so on and so forth. But then I go to other households and they're just talking about how they're getting crushed by Bidenflation and the other economic policies of the state. They really came here to raise their families. They're concerned about their kids in school. They're concerned about what's going on. And they are very, very much concerned about affordability. So it's very much of a mix. I don't think it varies much between Republican households, unaffiliated voters, and Democrats, although there is a little bit of a difference. I think the best barometer of where the electorate is really in that unaffiliated base, because they're turned off, candidly, by extremism on both sides. They're really interested in just having Greenwich be and Connecticut a great place to raise their families. That's why they're here in the first place. And they're looking for policy people, elected officials, who will fight for them and not be beholden to their party leadership in Hartford, just pushing one or the other political ideology. And that's a great fit for me because that's the kind of candidate and that's the kind of public official I've always been. So that's what I'm hearing when they're out on the base. I've knocked on over 500 doors, so it's a pretty good sample of what's on the minds of the constituents in the 151st district.
That's a lot of doors indeed. So
Yeah.
if you are elected and end up in Hartford, how do you think you'll be able to translate your business experience into the political sphere?
Well, there's two areas. If I were successful in going to Hartford, there's two areas I'd really like to be involved. I'd like to be involved in those committees that are focused on taxation, business regulation, and energy. As someone who's led multi-billion-dollar businesses within large corporations, as well as started up new companies, as I've done two in Connecticut, I can tell you the business environment here is not friendly. If we have younger kids who grow up in Greenwich, as an example, they're not looking to come back to Connecticut for a job. There just aren't the kinds of jobs to be had. I think back as an example on when I came to Connecticut after college in the late 80s, right here in Fairfield County and in Connecticut, there was a mecca for Fortune 500 headquarters. I was doing it the other day, thinking about how many companies have left Connecticut because the business environment is so unfriendly and bad. That's a problem we really, really have to work on if we want to be a successful state. The other thing I'll really focus on is education. Serving on Board of Education for 12 years, I see what happens when Hartford comes up with ideological mandates, foists them down on local school boards, and how that impacts schools. So I would work on specific things like the age at which kids go to school. You'd be surprised, Connecticut's one of the few states that sends 4-year-olds to kindergarten. These are just simple, practical things, but there are bigger things like we really have to prove academic achievement for all. We have to really listen to teachers, not teacher unions, teachers, and really support them. So there are a variety of different things that we can do, and those are the areas I would try to be most focused on.
And before we wrap up, is there anything you wanted to mention that we did not get a chance to touch on?
Not really. I think, I'm really excited to be running to represent my friends and neighbors. I look at this as a local affair. I've lived in North Mianus and Coscob, which are the sections of town that I'm looking to represent for more than 30 years. I know a lot of people, and to the degree that I can be a good representative of what they're concerned with and interested in, I really want to focus on our slogan in our campaign is Restore Connecticut. Let's get started. I think people are ready for people who will focus on doing positive things, and that's what our campaign's all about. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, and a lot more door knocking between now and November 8th. My objective is to door knock as many thousands of households, and I'm anxious to listen to what people have to say.
And how can people help?
The best way they can help is go to our website, petersherr.com, or either one of our sites. We're really anxious to have people help us get the message out. And as I say, Greenwich is a very local place. So putting a lawn sign on your door, on your front lawn, sending out a message, or if you'd like us to come do a meet and greet and listen to people, you can contact us on petersherr.com, or you can send us an email at petersherr4cthouse@gmail.com. We're really anxious to have people help and support our campaign.
Well, Peter, all the best to you. Good luck to you in your campaign.
Thanks again, Deneen.
Folks, it's Peter Sherr. He is running for state representative in Connecticut's 151st district. Thanks so much for checking out Reigniting Liberty. And remember, everyone has a role to play. What are you doing for liberty? Until next time.